Okay, lately I've been thinking about what's going on in Israel. I've been walking down the street mumbling ideas to myself in my head, trying to figure out how I'm going to make this video. This is Israel, and that is the West Bank, and that is Gaza. The West Bank has about 3 million people. Gaza has about 2 million. I had a friend, Helena D. We're no longer friends. I don't know. Was not rude to her. She got angry though because I said, after I posted in a response to something she said she wanted Biden impeached, and I responded, I don't think that's a good idea. 4 years of Donald Trump, I don't want 4 more years of that man. I would rather have Biden in office than have 4 more years. And I'm sorry, but you guys forget, Donald Trump's the guy who helped Jerusalem become the capital, okay, in Israel. He is not going to be doing the right thing with this whole situation at all. He's not the person who should be handling our military when it comes to a situation like this. Okay? Gaza is a small strip. The West Bank is that big green area. All right? One state solution, which is what my friend wanted, Helena D. And I'm like, no, that's not going to work. Because there's too much hatred between the two groups. 50% of the Israeli citizenship says they want the Muslims out. The last time they were polled. And I'm like, no, it has to be a two-state solution. And the only way for this to work is that you take Gaza, you move the people from Gaza over to the West Bank, and you make West Bank Palestine. Give them enough land. And there's only about 500,000, okay? There's 500,000 Israelis who have moved into the West Bank area where they shouldn't be, because that should be Palestine. Those 500,000 people need to move. If Israel can figure a way to move the people from Gaza who are not Hamas over to the West Bank, then they could have Gaza. And I'm betting that they can find space for that 500,000 people who've encroached in the West Bank who should not be there at all. Okay? Should not be in that area, because that should be Palestine. Because here's the thing, okay? If there are 14 million Palestinians spread all over the world who think that they don't have a home, that they don't have a country to call their own, that is prime real estate for terrorism. Because if you're terrified and scared that you don't have any place to call your home, that you don't have a place to root down yourself, it's an easy target for people in the terrorism world to feed on that fear and that anxiety and push on the right buttons to increase the hate. But if you give the Palestinians a foundation, then they have a reason to actually kick Hamas out. They have a reason to actually go against the Hamas. Take an example, okay? World War I. Do you know how the British won World War I against the Ottoman Empire? They befriended the Arabs who didn't like their own leadership. They used the Arabs against the Ottomans. In fact, Lawrence of Arabia is a movie about just that. It is a film about a British soldier going into the Arab world, befriending the Arabs, and getting the Arabs to do the dirty work and to effectively, go against their own leadership, the Ottomans. They were all Arabs. They're all Muslims. The only problem is, when the Brits did that, they promised the Arabs who helped them a home. And instead, in 2017, during World War I, a British leader who was Jewish, who was not even, I don't think, fighting in the Middle East, made a declaration that they were going to give the Israelis a home, the Jews a home. And so when World War I ended, okay, they made mandatory Palestine, which was under the British control, which the Brits were supposed to figure out a way to get the people in that area to form a government and to live peacefully. And instead what they did was they trained the Jews and the Israelis to fight for themselves and fight against the Arabs. And it started a war that ended up kicking out a bunch of the Palestinians, and Palestinians fled all over the world and making Israel. In fact, the Mossad and the reason the military is so strong in Israel now is because the British taught them how to be soldiers. We Americans were not involved in that. Okay? For some reason, we keep being blamed for everything going on in the Middle East right now, but we were not the ones who started this. The Brits are actually the ones who initially trained the initial Israeli soldiers to be guerrilla-like warfares against the Arabs, because they are also the ones who taught the Arabs how to beat the Ottomans. Little irony there. Okay? Little irony with all of it. Which is why I say the best thing to do, the best way to solve this, is to make a Palestine. Make the West Bank Palestine. The Israelis can have Gaza. They can move the refugees somehow, the ones they know are not Hamas, and the UN can come in, and Jordan can also probably help and make Palestine, help Palestine form a government. And here's the thing, make a democracy. Because the Palestinians are very diverse. There are Christian Palestinians, there are Jewish Palestinians, there are mixed race Palestinians. I bet that the Palestinians would be better at making a democracy if they get the Hamas out than the Israelis have ever been in that area. And I kind of would like to see if they could make the first secular democracy. A true democracy where you can have, where every religion, the Palestinians are welcome. Whether you're a Muslim Palestinian, a Jewish Palestinian, a Christian Palestinian, where they could all live there in that area for peace, all knowing that their roots are there. I'm an idealist, okay? I really am. That's what I would like to see. And I am so tired. I have spent 15 years being debased, demoralized, and dealing with parents who are MAGA and people in the industry who are actually conservative Jews and conservative Christians, in my opinion, in the closet because they want me to do what my mommy and daddy want me to do. Well, I think for myself and I have a mind of my own. I want to be doing acting because I love it as a career, as a job. I don't like being stuck. My mind goes everywhere. I mean, today I'm doing this video about Israel. Tomorrow I want to talk about saving the planet from environmental change. The next day I'm going to be like, you know what? Well, there's this idea over here. And then I also post my vegan food videos because I'm obsessed with what I eat because I have an autoimmune disease and I get sick if I don't eat the right foods. So I've been desperately trying to figure out, well, trying not to starve to death because I'm underweight. And plus, I'm also a breast cancer survivor. I mean, as an actor, I feel like I could play a detective one day or a lawyer the next and change who I am, and that's my idea of growth. I hate being in a box. I'm a Mensa person too. It's like I constantly want to keep growing. I want to grow and I want to change and I want the world to be a better place. And I guess me sharing this video, trying to give this idea out there that there's a solution to this. But the people in Israel just have to be willing to let go of their fear, let go of their ego, let go of the idea that they own all of this area, and accept the fact that the West Bank is not theirs. It is not theirs. It should be Palestine's. Okay? Because historically, you guys didn't own it to begin with. Okay, wait, what am I saying? Yeah. The true history of Israel, historically, is that you were a bunch of tribes and nomadic people. There were two areas, Israel and Judah, because of a tax issue. 900 BC, we know that there were two countries, basically. One was Israel, one was Judea. They were split. You can't say they were all Israel because they weren't. Israel was conquered by the Assyrians, I believe. Then the people from Israel either fled into Judea or left the region altogether, potentially. Or they were, they were swallowed into the Assyrians. You know, there was a lot of that, where civilization would just disappear. And in actuality, the Canaanites are the Jews. The Jews didn't conquer the Canaanites. The Canaanites just became the Jews. It was over time, their culture and their viewpoints and their world just kind of changed. Okay, just like we do in America. We go from the 60s, 70s, 80s, we grow over time. So stop this insanity Stop thinking the Bible's all of it, it's genuine.